I'm Clara Rose, and this is Influence Matters, the show where each week I share tips, tricks, tools, hacks, resources, whatever you want to call them, to help savvy influence builders just like you to strategically and intentionally cultivate their influence. Because we all know that influence is how we organically generate more leads for our business, ministry, cause, or brand. So here we are once again to talk about influence today. And before I get started, I always have to do the good stuff, which is talking about our Rosedale sponsor. Thank you so much to Rosedale for being our sponsor. They specialize in business books for professionals and entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur or professional looking to have a book done, those are the people to contact. Thank you once again for being a sponsor of our show, making it possible for us to be here. And then, of course, where we are today over at Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV, who really make this show possible for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, if you are a regular, you know that I usually start out with a question of the week, and that comes from a viewer or a listener just like you. But today, there is no question of the week because we have a very exciting special guest for you today. Now, if you were with us last week, I kind of gave you a sneak peek, so you already know who's going to be here. And if you are not, let me just take 1 minute to introduce him to you. Okay, so our guest today, his name is Blair Bryant Nichols, and he is the Director of Stages over at Advance Your Reach. So I know you've all heard of Pete Vargas, and you've all heard of Advance Your Reach. Well, this is the guy over there who manages the stages. So help me welcome Blair, won't you? Are you with me, Blair? There you are.
I am. Hi, Clara. Nice to be here with you all.
Thank you so much for taking some time. I know you're super busy, so we won't take a lot of your time, but thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so I know everyone wants to know all about Advance Your Reach. So first tell me who you are, what you do there, and how you got there, because people want to know.
Absolutely. So I'm Blair Bryant Nichols, as you said. I'm the Director of Stages for Advance Your Reach. We help entrepreneurs, business owners, all sorts of different types of folks who want to use stages to grow their business do that. So what I do is I oversee our agency, which helps with the research and reach out to strategic stages for our clients. So folks that have done our course or gone through some of our workshops have been some of our first clients. And now our agency is opening up to all different types of speakers who really want a team that knows how to find them the right stages beyond podcasts, virtual events, and physical stages into the future, and also make a meaningful connection with that meeting planner or event organizer. Because having a team that can do that for you takes so much of the burden of the time and the labor that goes into that. So I oversee that and help strategize, finding those best events and right audiences for all of our clients. And how I started there was I started back in December. I had been with speakers bureaus most of my career. So I'd been in the paid keynote world, working with authors and celebrities and different types of folks who largely were just speaking for paid keynotes. That's something that I started out in right after college at HarperCollins. They were the first publishing house to have their own in-house bureau. So I definitely understood kind of the connection between books and speaking and working with people that had a message like that they could get out there. And they really, we always had to think about what was the right audience for them and connecting them with that. But that was only in the very narrow portion of the speaking market where there are keynote fees. What Pete Vargas and the whole Advance Your Reach team opened up my eyes to is all the bountiful number of stages that could still be very strategic and helpful to growing your business, even if you're not walking away with a keynote fee. The list building you can get, the introduction to this audience, and helping build your influence, as you speak about, can be really impactful, even if it's just a podcast or just a virtual summit or something where you might not think that it's as important as a corporate event. But I found that those events are really impactful for our business owners because there's so many different options nowadays to get your message out there, and helping them find all of those different opportunities, I think, is really valuable. Whereas bureaus have traditionally focused only on the paid opportunities. So I got recruited, I guess, to help launch our agency at AYR, as well as work with Pete and the team and some of our elite clients and helping them get on stages to continue to spread our message and grow our audience as well.
Wow, you're just like the perfect guest for my show, right? Because our whole mantra is write, speak, lead, because influence matters, right? So we're talking about the importance and the value of influence, but we're talking about writing and speaking and leading to gain that influence. So you guys have really taken it to that next step beyond the services that I offer to my clients, which is super cool because now I have a place to point people for that next step. Right? I've kind of been following you guys for a while. I'm a longtime fan and follower of Michael Hyatt, and of course you know who he is. And he actually introduced me to Pete Vargas and the Rise Up movement, right? The Rise. So I participated in that, and I'm like, these people are speaking my language. Right? When I launched Intentional Influence a few years ago and Influence Matters, which is that piece of it about influence, I'm like, these people know what I'm saying. These people have the same mantra. They're doing it differently because, of course, I'm focusing on it from the writing side of things, right? As a writer, which is interesting that you come from HarperCollins because we come from kind of the same worlds, which is super cool too, right? So I help my clients write their book, of course, and get ready, use that as a tool for building influence. But then our very next step or next piece, which if you were here last week, you would see that we talked about Speak Up, which is the program that I have that helps people take that next step. Got my book in hand. Now we're going to focus on how I can speak up and gain more influence. But it's really just a creative piece, a little creative piece. And then I've kind of just been sending them off into the world and say, okay, here's a strategy for leading, right? Write, speak, lead. Here you go. And they do it successfully, but I do see that missing piece, right? That I don't want to send them to an agency because they aren't looking to be speakers, professional speakers who just speak, right? There are people that do that. That's awesome. I am a graduate of the National Speakers Association Speakers Academy, and I met a lot of them there. That's their goal, to get that keynote. But that wasn't my goal, and it's not the goal of my authors, right? The people that I'm working with, they're looking for speaking as an opportunity, and that's what you do. Right? That's why this is so cool. So tell me more about the agency. I know that my viewers, my listeners are dying to hear all about the agency. Tell us more.
Sure. And this is what really excited me about AYR and the opportunity to come join them, because when I was at a bureau all day long, and I was our talent manager, so it was kind of my job to, recruit new speakers, to look at maybe where we have gaps on our roster, what are the hot new topics, and how do we find the best speakers to bring out to the marketplace, or just to partner with them to help grow their speaking if they were already established. So you're working with a lot of established speakers. And what's interesting and what I love about our agency now is it's designed for speakers at all levels. So whether you're just getting started, you've never even been on a podcast, you've never even done a speaking engagement, our programs help get you ready, but the agency is designed to help build your exposure. So with most of our clients, what we're doing is researching 10 stages for them every month. So we have an onboarding call, we do a strategy session, we talk about what's their ideal audience, and as strategists, the hat that I usually wear, we talk about, okay, this is how you're going to reach that audience. These are the organizations that suit your needs and also are going to be planning events or have a need to educate their members, whether it's an association or whether it's a company that's just perfect for their message. We do that research and we provide that to our clients so they can look at that and say, okay, these look good, or maybe one or two of these, let's swap out for something different. So it's a very collaborative process. And then our agents reach out. So they reach out to these stages directly. We use all of the different databases and social media networks to find the right contacts so we can make a direct introduction. We're not relying just on web forms or general email addresses on websites. Like, we're really trying to dig in deep to find the right people. And we're going to keep keep following up until we get, a door open that says, come on in. We want to hear more. And oftentimes that's just, they sound great. Let's have them on the podcast, or they sound wonderful for my summit. I'd love to speak with them further. And then we hand it off. So, kind of like you said, where you have brought people, they've got this book, this amazing asset that really speaks to what their subject matter expertise or what their big message is all about. And then you help them craft their talk. We take their speaker assets, their Why Me video, their speaker kit, which is, just a 5-page, deck or PDF that kind of goes over who they are, what they're about, what they speak about. And we share those directly with those meeting planners. And so we take all of that middle part out of it and let the speakers do what they do best, talk and spread their message. So we connect them directly to the meeting planner to have those conversations. Like I said, oftentimes it's just, hey, we want to have you on, but let's, just do a quick chat so we know what we're going to cover in the podcast. Or, hey, we've got a few speakers we're thinking about for this summit, and, you sound great. And it is kind of up to the speaker then to close the deal, so to speak. But oftentimes, they are already really excited about what the speakers have to share, what their subject is, what their topic is. So our work is really just getting them connected with those right people and then letting them go and do a great job in that speaking engagement. Something else that I think is important that to speak about too is we also help our customers with scaling beyond the stage. So we know that, speaking is a great way to sell books and it's a great way to talk about your message, but we really want to make sure our customers also have, different programs or products in place to make sure that the stage is going to be a return on value for them, whether they're giving out a free resource, which helps them build an email list of potential leads and customers in the future, or whether they're actually able to offer their product or service as a result of this stage. We're looking very strategically at how it actually impacts their business and how they can grow beyond that with some sort of scale. Which it's funny you mentioned Michael Hyatt, because one of the ways to do scale as a speaker is to actually build a speaking team. So we work with Michael Hyatt and his entire team because, of course, not every opportunity is going to be a great fit for his schedule. He's very busy. He's very popular. But there's a lot of great opportunities that someone on his team could manage. So there's a lot of different ways that speakers can grow their business and also grow their speaking as they get more exposure and as they get more out in the marketplace. And that's what we hopefully help people do, and hopefully can continue to serve them until they become the next Michael Hyatt and have their own team and companies built out of their own.
Wow. There goes my brain. So you're not just helping with the part that I personally don't like, which is that first going out and getting, right? That first interaction, doing the research, that piece isn't something that a lot of us love to do, right? So you guys are actually doing that piece, and then you're going to deliver 10 every month, 10 opportunities for me to negotiate. That's like gold.
Right. 10 new stages each month. And then, as soon as we sometimes it takes a few months to get their attention. So,
Sure.
Each month we add 10 more though. And obviously that grows and compounds over time.
Wow. And then beyond that, which is where my head exploded, beyond that, you're helping them scale to the next step, which, that's a whole nother skill set right there, taking them beyond just that, getting you on stages. So it really is like a speaker's bureau on steroids, kind of, right? Because it's just so much bigger than just an average speaker's bureau experience for people. It's really that next step. So it was interesting that you were talking about their assets, because we talked about that a little bit last week. And of course, that's part of the Speak Up program, where we don't create assets together, but I help you understand the assets that you need. Yes, we're going to create your signature speech, because that's like the basis, right? You have to have that. And guess what? It needs to match your book, right? It needs to match your platform. So for instance, as an example, my platform is influence, right? So everything that I create is around influence. It's writing, speaking, leading, all the stuff. Even when we talk goals, we're talking about using them strategically to cultivate influence, right? So that signature speech, it's a natural progression for me to help people go from book to speech. And then we talk about the value of their assets, their one sheet, their media kit, all of those pieces. And I can help you with copy if you need help, but guess what I'm not? I'm not a graphic designer. I am not going to build your speaker kit with you. I'm also not going to take your headshots because I'm not a photographer, right? So there's that next piece before you even get to the agency that you guys help them with. Now, that's what I'm hearing anyway, right? So there's another step between me and the agency. If you don't have those assets, you have something else for them for that, correct?
We do. So our stage execution workshop, which is initially how we started the agency, only people who'd gone through that workshop were initially eligible, because that's where, like you said, we create their speaker kit, we do the headshots, we film their YME video. We don't focus on their talk at that workshop, so that's separate. So that would be kind of the next step of people that you've worked with, and then they come in and they get all of that. They get some clarity on that, but then they also get those assets. So then they are ready immediately to work with us, because those are really what we need. And of course, I think they need a website. They need other things that we don't focus on that piece, because that's something else that they need to be doing for their business and their speaking. But just those core assets are really what we use to reach out to meeting planners, that are just so important to make sure you have the right pieces that people expect to see as they're considering you as a speaker.
Right. You have to look professional when you show up, right? That piece is so necessary. And of course, my clients, we have that signature speech written, and maybe we have some of their marketing message. And of course, we've already created their message for the world, right? Because that's how we started the book even. We brainstorm, we blueprint, we create. We do that for the book. Publish, brainstorm, blueprint, create your signature speech, right? But that next piece is a super important piece. But if you are not like one of my clients, and I haven't helped you with that, but you already have a book and you're already speaking, if you don't have those speaker assets, they can come to you guys to help with speaker assets. But some of them do have those assets, right? So then they can just jump right into the agency, correct?
That's right. I mean, we have an application. We just want to make sure, we know who we're talking to and what your business is all about. And we don't want to, say, oh, it's just for absolutely everybody. There is some core criteria, but that's really it. We look to make sure you have those assets. You've got a kind of a viable business. And so we really want to make sure it's an investment that if you're going to make, you're going to see a return. If you're just getting started and you don't really have any products or services, but you just want to get out there speaking, we might not be your best first stop. But for everyone else who's, got that kind of dialed in and also just has either started speaking or knows that that's really what's next for them, then I love that we can be really the launching pad for speakers taking those assets out to the world. And that's what we've seen a lot of this year. A lot of our clients, we've exposed them to the first time they've been on stage, and it's helped them grow and really start to both improve in their speaking, but also they're starting to see, new clients and new leads and changing their strategy along as they go, as they get that immediate feedback, which is so important for speakers and for business folks to actually get some client and customer feedback early on so they can continue to iterate and grow as well.
Absolutely. And those people who have already come to you, if you find somebody who doesn't have a book, send them our way, because I really believe that is a piece that will help launch them to that next level, especially if they're there because they want exposure and influence versus I'm looking just to keynote, right? Yes, right. They will. I'm sure your clients, some of them get paid for keynotes, right? But the entire point of my business is not to send you out to do keynotes to be a professional speaker, right? It's to create a tool. And it sounds like that's true for you guys as well. It's not about that keynote. It's about exposure.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it as a signature talk, like you're helping them build a signature speech as well. And we say you can use this everywhere. You don't need to just use it on keynotes on stages. You're using it on podcasts. You might be using it around the dinner table. You might be using it at your next business lunch. Whatever it is, getting that core message dialed in is so important. But I love what you're doing with books, because as I mentioned, you mentioned, I started out in the publishing world. I always saw the direct connection between having a book and launching yourself as a speaker, or maybe it's now your third or fourth book and you still haven't really quite cracked into that speaking. I love how you're helping people make that immediate transition and not waste any time thinking that it's not something they could do, because that is such an easy way to say, look, you've already put all this effort into building this message. You have all the ideas. Now let's turn it into a talk that can really help spread that. And I, within my time in the industry, saw how, Seth Godin decided to start self-publishing all of his books. And so now there's all different ways to publish. You don't have to go to one of the top 5 or 4, or how many are left, big publishers. There's so many opportunities to just get your book out there and then leverage it for all different ways. So I love that people now have all these different options, and a book is just an incredible tool, especially if you want to be speaking more, that will really raise your profile and give you a bigger platform to get out there and get noticed by meeting planners.
So it's almost like you've been a little fly in the corner, a little mouse in the corner, listening to me preach at people for the last 2 or 3 years, right? Because you're saying all the same things that if my followers, if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you're like, hey, he's saying just what she's saying.
Because I'm a plant.
You're a plant, that's it. Because there's just so much truth to that, right? The publishing industry changed. It just has, and people can self-publish. We don't self-publish, we hybrid publish, which is a bit unique. I've been doing that for about 3-4 years, and I didn't really see anyone else talking about it, but now there are other people calling it hybrid publishing. So it's really just about helping them to publish in a way that is author-centric. Right, more advantageous to them, the author. They retain all their own rights. They retain all their own royalties. All the money coming in is all theirs because they've paid me in the creative process, right? So I got them set up in such a way that they're published through a small publishing house, but they own everything and they don't have to split the pie with other people. Now, some of my authors do take their completed manuscript and go try to find an agent to get them a book deal at one of the big publishing houses. And that's totally cool if that's your dream and that's what you want. But that's not the tool that we've created. We created a tool to do something else, to expand your influence, right? To create something bigger. So we're intentionally creating that book. We're intentionally getting on stages or preparing to get on stages and talking about leadership and how we fit into the world around us. So super similar terminology, the collaborative process is the same. So exciting to meet you guys and see that someone else is beating the same drum that I'm beating. And that's super exciting for me. We are just about out of time, but if you have any last thing you'd like to share with us, you got a couple more minutes. What other nuggets can you give us?
Sure. Well, I was just going to say, that we both know very few people get rich off a book alone. So that's why it's so important to think about the impact you're going to have with your book, with your message, with the stage, because the book alone is, very few people sell millions of copies, but it becomes such an amazing tool that grows and grows and grows based on the audiences that it exposes you to. So just wanted to kind of reinforce on that. All I wanted to share with the audience is that, like I said, we're now opening the doors, wide to people to join the agency. If you want to apply and join, it's a really simple link. You can just go to bit.ly/stage agency all together and check out the application, and we'll follow up with you, with our feedback and schedule some time to discuss that further. And if you're interested in Advance Your Reach and our podcast, inside thegreenroompodcast.com, you can check that out. We've got some resources, and you can learn more about working with Advance Your Reach there too. So Clara, you're doing such amazing work helping your clients, building that relationship that you talked about. That's what I loved everything you shared about how you work with your clients and really become, knit with them. We feel the same way about the clients in our agency. We hope that it's a place where people can find a home, like I said, to not just launch their speaking business, but to grow and grow and grow and keep us helping work with them for a long time, because I saw how the business of the bureaus, really wasn't working for the vast majority of speakers. And I think they're not going anywhere. I think for celebrity and big name talent, the bureaus are going to be important, brokers for speakers like that in this industry. But for so many other speakers where they're not just looking for keynote fees, where they're really looking to grow their impact and influence like you talk about and get that exposure. I think new models like what we're doing is really exciting and just a a really great opportunity for people to leverage some experts that can help them get out there and not, try to train their team on how to do it and take up a ton of time. It's a really great solution that I think, a lot of speakers would really love to have in their back pocket if they could.
That's totally part of the preaching that I do on a regular basis. Go find the experts, right? You're an expert in what you do, right? Whatever it is that you do, you're an expert in that. You're not an expert in writing a book. You're not an expert in getting yourself on stages. You're not an expert in those other pieces, unless that happens to be what you do. But for the most people out there who are creating these books, getting on stages, that's not their niche. That's not what they do, right? So if you hear nothing else today, go find the expert that's going to take you to that next step, get you where you want to be. I feel like it went too fast. Thank you so much for being with me today. I look forward. I'm actually on the podcast Inside the Green Room coming up in November, so I'm excited to show up there to your people, and I will hopefully get to chat with you again sometime soon. Thanks so much for your time, Blair.
Thanks, Clara. Great to chat with you all.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Wasn't he amazing, you guys? Wow, right? I just can't even believe that I made this wonderful connection. I'm so excited for my opportunity to show up in his audience and to send my clients his way. I am out of time today, but I want to just say thank you so much for being with me once again. I look forward to seeing you next week, once again, in Influence Matters. Take care.